Good, pretty good.
We're in the show. It's my pleasure to introduce to you guys my co-hosts, the lucky Brad, and if you guys don't know why he's lucky, I was so excited for him. It was unbelievable. We'll talk about this after I introduce this fellow down below, the Rev, Kurt 5150, all the way from I got it right the last time.
Washington State.
Washington State. I knew that. I was just being a bit silly. I was teasing people. I was teasing Nelson because he's waiting for us in the chat. He's always waiting for us. He's the guy saying, chop, chop, where are you guys? So we have the show scheduled for 4:15. So we're early today, guys.
Mm-hmm. For a change. We're on time. We're ahead of the mark, you know. It's good.
If you guys haven't seen the channel, I posted a video of Brad doing his first unboxing, and that's always an exciting opportunity. And if you guys haven't checked out Brad on his Instagram account, he's got it on there as well. So check out Brad there. And go and have a look. I'm excited for you, brother. You did well.
No, I did. I had a good week. I've got
Australia.
lots of goodies. We do get things here in Australia. It's I thought we were left out of the rest of the world, but we do receive things in the mail, and I'm forever grateful, guys. I can't thank you enough, both of you. Andrew, that's this here is something that I was like just before the very first lockdown. I was actually going to order this, and obviously with lockdown and no work and stuff, I just saved my pennies, didn't go and order it, and Andrew went and sent me this, so thank you so much. And that's gone straight to the top of my pile of books to read. I've got a lot of books to read, but it's funny because I always try, to find time to read. But yeah.
We're getting rudely interrupted. We're going to get raided by the Johnny Bean hordes. So
I can hear the air raid sirens now.
Yeah, we should get one. You know how they have little red boxes with clapping and all that, and drumming and booze and all that kind. We should just get an air raid one. So every time we get raided,
Hey,
it's always a pleasure.
Raid. I'm seeing all these bright, familiar faces in here. Thank you so much, guys. It's good seeing you all.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to see you guys joining us here for this amazing album.
And real quick, I see Cobra Kai Platoon in the chat. I want to give him a huge shout out. Brad, if you want to show your shirt, Cobra Kai Platoon put this together for me. May the tone be with you. Take a look at that, Brad. Awesome.
All right.
Andrew's shirt is coming, but as we know, he is on the south end of a northbound cow's side of the earth.
Okay. And I'm wearing Nerd. If Nerd Halen is in the chat, there's my Nerd Halen shirt.
There you go.
And Johnny Bean, we need a Johnny Bean t-shirt so we can, when the air raid siren goes off, we can show the t-shirt.
There you go. I'll splurge some money and get some.
Hey, you guys, we appreciate all the nice comments in the chat. Thank you very much. If you guys haven't already done this, we would be grateful if you could just hit that subscribe button for us to help us get to 1,000 subscribers. You would be helping me and my co-hosts out a lot. If you can do that, we would be grateful. But in the meantime, we'd like to say, again, thank you for hanging out with us. Hang out and listen to the introduction, because Brad's doing an intro into the Fair Warning album. If you guys aren't familiar with the format, then he'll go through and pick the first song, talk a little bit about it, and then we'll each give our opinions on the song. So it seems to be something that's generating a bit of interest. So, join us.
And we want you guys to join in the chat. Give us your ranking. Abuse us if we give us a bad ranking, but nicely abuse us. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it family friendly. But join in, because it's all in the fun of it, and we're all Van Halen fans, and that's basically why we're doing this, because we love the music and we love, obviously, Edward Van Halen. So it's just our little fun way to say fair warning. Where's the air raid siren?
I
know. Sounds like a dead cat.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But thanks, Kurt, and thanks, Andrew, for these two things.
You're
I'm not
welcome.
talking about the t-shirt.
My pleasure, brother. My pleasure. No problem at all.
Yes. And how's everyone's week been, Kurt? You've had a busy week.
Busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. Work's been more than what I want to experience. It's been a heck of a week, but it's good to end it. Me being in the United States, it's Friday night here. It's good to end it talking for the next couple hours on Van Halen, and then parlay into the weekend. So it's been a good, fast weekend, and I'm ready to the weekend started. How about you?
Myself, it's been busy. I raced through the door, had a quick shower, so I look at least fresh on this show. I actually did shave. I don't know if anyone can tell. And, literally raced through the door, shaved, and got straight on here. So I've had a busy week. I've been preparing for today's show for a couple of weeks now, obviously, and obviously cramming this last week, because the week before I had to present the Ziggy Stardust and Spiders from Mars record. So I put a lot of effort into that one, and obviously I thought, I've got another week, and then it got flat out all week, and I'm like, oh geez, I've got to get somehow. So it's Murphy's Law, isn't it? So and then obviously Andrew's got an interview tomorrow, guys. If you can tune in, he's got an interview with a guy who plays Eric Clapton in a tribute show. Is it, Andrew? That's
And he also did a interesting interview with a guy that mixed the 24 Nights album that Clapton did. So just getting some of that information from him will be pretty important too, because obviously we're Clapton nuts here. So tune into that. That'll be great if you guys can. Mate, before you get in and do your introduction, should we just go through and just acknowledge everyone that's jumped into the chat? Say hi quickly. Is that okay?
Do it.
So we got Nelson, 7/8J. Thanks for joining us. Michael B. Hey, Michael, it's been a long time. We've got chat security for Gizmachi in here as well. Dan of NJ. Cobra Kai. Thanks, Cobra Kai. Michael B. again. Joke Riddler. Rick Green, Teresa from Brazil, thank you for joining us. Susan, thank you. Fruitcake Tony, how's it going, brother? Stephen Franklin, Mark Dillon, James, thank you for joining us. Caleb, here he is. Nerd Halen, thank you, brother, for joining us. Adam, Miles, Cobra Kai, Alan, holy cow, Wayno, Kelly, KMX Rocks, Kurt 5150. Oh gosh, you guys have given us a little bit to talk about. So thank you. 24 people watching. Thank you, Johnny Bean, for rating us. My friends, it's always a pleasure.
Yes, and yes, they're very close friends to all of us here, online friends. So thank you for joining us. We're all a family, which is great. But I'm really excited about this little episode today. Not that I'm never excited about going through anything to do with Van Halen, but yeah, I think I've mentioned a few times that Fair Warning's probably my favourite Roth era record. So I don't know what you guys think in the chat, but we'd love to know what you guys think of this record, and give us your sort of, what, maybe even mention in the chat the first time you heard this record and what you thought of it at the time, and whether it's grown on you or you've got stale with it or whatever. We'd just love to hear what you guys have to say. Because, again, we're just Van Halen nuts, and we're just talking about the music that we love and just from our opinion. And there's a bit of factual stuff that we go through, but which is like formalities, because we try to be as factual as possible. But obviously everything we're going through is our opinion. So, and obviously, what it meant to us at the first time we heard it and things like that, which is, we'd love to hear what you guys say anyway.
Right. I see Susan, she already chimed in and said she loves Unchained. So Susan, I don't know, is that your favorite Van Halen song? Or do you just love it? I know she's a Van Halen nut, and she's fairly new to the YouTube scene, and she's been a avid watcher since I've seen her jump in the chat on the Johnny Bean show, and she's bouncing around from show to show, so I can already see that she has the Van Halen itch, just like most of us, which is cool. So thanks, Susan, for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Van Halen's Fair Warning. What should we do, guys? Should we get straight into it?
Yeah, we got Alan Garber's here as well.
Hey, Al, Dr. Garber.
He's the man behind the real transcribe of Eruption. Not the fake spin, but the real one.
Hey, Alan, how are you? Yeah, so I think we should dive into the record, yeah? Let's get into it.
Yeah,
what do you think? You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, well, Fair Warning. It's released in April 29, 1981. It's the fourth studio album of David Lee Roth. It's sold more than 2 million copies. It's been noted as the slowest selling Roth era album, but surprisingly, it was given great reviews from usual negative-minded critics. So obviously that's always a bonus, because we always talk about that. Sometimes the critics don't always get it right. So, in retrospect, they sometimes even come back and say that, the album was good. So I'll get straight into it, guys. When Van Halen entered the studio to record the album, they were well on their way to becoming one of the world's biggest rock bands. But inside the group, there was creative tension happening. Eddie took his first steps towards claiming greater degree of control in the recording process of this album, which encouraged him to finish the construction of his own home studio as well at 5150. During the sessions for Fair Warning, Eddie simply let himself back into the studio after everyone had gone, and he enlisted engineer Don Landy to help him. I've got a quote here from Ed, and I think I'm going to quote a couple of things that I've found, which obviously ties into the record as well. So this is an Edward quote. I wasn't very happy with the way things were going or the way people were approaching the whole recording process. I would sneak back into the studio at 4 a.m. with Don Landy, the engineer, and completely re-record all the solos and overdubs the way I wanted them. He put, I won't say the F word. The effed up thing was no one even noticed that's how uninvolved they were on a musical level, which obviously that would have been, you can hear the frustration in a lot of Eddie's playing. I think you can actually hear it. And I think it actually gave the album a bit of urgency and a little bit of Ed pushed himself a fair bit on this record just to probably, stick one in him and say, look what I can do when I'm in charge. So, yeah. Another issue was Eddie recently married Valerie Bertinelli, which who was a TV star at the time, which he claimed had a souring effect on his relationship with David Lee Roth. Here's another quote from Ed. It was kind of a dark period in my life. I was getting married, which flipped Roth out to the bone. I actually heard him saying that effing little prick. Not only is he winning all the guitar awards, but he's also the first to marry a movie star. And then he said, so that's what I was up against. The guy that wanted everything that was going on in my way. The funny thing was, I really didn't want the attention. It just came to me anyway. I didn't want the press. It was like, leave me alone. On the whole album, I was angry, frustrated, and loose. I think the frustration definitely is apparent on this record, guys. And the album's on it's short. It's just over half an hour of music, which is pretty short in consideration to some of their later records. It's less pop friendly. Despite a number 6 peak and platinum certification, it was ultimately go down as the slowest Van Halen release of the Roth era. With the lack of commercial success, Fairwarning helped feed the covers heavy approach on their next album, which was the one we did previously, Diverdown. Fault lines in the lineup would shortly lead to Roth's departure from the band in '85. Fairwarning obviously reassured the fans that they weren't about to tone things down, and they weren't going to go along a pop airplay vibe. It was their least commercially successful release of the Roth era. Mm-hmm. Pretty much Unchained earning a permanent place in the group's concert repertoire. It's a darker, richer sounding album that is very guitar driven, but a few songs on the album written in drop D, which means the low E string on the guitar is tuned down one whole tone to D, allowing for some really fat low end riffs. Ed was quoted as saying he wrote some of the music on piano for the record, like Unchained, and hear about it later. We need to remember that Ed was at the height of his creative power during this time. He was obviously channeling a lot was going on within the band, and that was coming through in his songs and the songwriting, and obviously reclaiming a bit of power back in the band. I think that was something that was something that was much needed for him anyway, as a songwriter and as an artist. I think he was really trying to do that. So at the time, he didn't really have any other guitarists around that were influencing him. There was no real guitar music at that time. In 80, 81, there was no real like guitar rock orientated music. There was a lot of disco, and punk was emerging. The only real innovative guitarist that was inspiring at the time was Alan Holdsworth, who he was working with at the time, and I think you could hear some of Alan's influence on the solos. The album's artwork features a detailed painting by an artist called William, I never pronounced his surname correctly, Kurelik, yep. Called The Maze, which is basically a representation of his tortured youth. And I don't know if you guys have had a look at the comparison, and maybe we can do that a bit later. But yeah, it features a black and white portrait inside, and it's got another photo on the back of a wall. So I'll show you that. So that's a pretty cool photo of them there. I reckon I've got to say that they actually look, yeah, they all look a bit unhappy though. Got a bit. That's the back of the wall with got a quote there from Fairwarning, and then obviously that's the album cover there. So
yeah, Neil Zoslauer took that picture of that building, and I think either Dave or Al wrote that on the wall of that building.
Oh, okay. So the singles on this from this were, from what I understand, so This Is Love, in the mainstream rock charts, it charted 15. Mean Streets in the mainstream rock, it's charted 12. Push Comes to Shove, 29 in the mainstream rock, and Unchained was rated 13. It got to number 13 in the charts. Its technique, sound, and vocabulary and songwriting from the first album to Fairwarning just kept improving for me. I think his songwriting also kept improving as he progressed into the Sammy years and beyond. I think he just became a better songwriter, and that's just an artist evolving, in my opinion. But you know, it was a really party vibe, obviously, at the start of the band, but they started to take songwriting very seriously as well. So overall, for me, guys, look, the sound and the excitement in the songs of the band, the dark, aggressive, push to the limits guitar playing, ultimately makes this album one of my favorite Roth era Van Halen albums. It's sonically one of their greatest albums, and I call it a masterpiece.
There we go. Garber just put it to use. The words on the wall were from Pete Inglis.
Okay. So that's pretty much my wrap up of the record, guys, and my introduction.
Awesome. Well, good introduction. You actually got a lot of points that I had on my notes, so that saves me the breath. A couple things I wanted to highlight. Michael Anthony got married on February 21st, prior to recording this album. So I know a lot of the beef was Dave was complaining to Ted that Eddie was getting married. Michael just got married, so that kind of changed David Lee Roth's, I guess, tone and approach to this album. One thing's cool: no cover songs on this album, which was a first after the first three records. They actually reserved the whole studio space for the whole chunk of time that they recorded there. I think it was 12 days, where prior they would reserve 4-hour chunks or 8-hour chunks, to where this time they were a big band and they had the power where they could tell Sunset Sound, hey, we want Studio One for 2 weeks and we want to leave all of our equipment there. And that's how Don and Ed were able to go in the studio at night and record stuff when Ted and some of the other band members weren't around. With that being said, there's rumor that Ed did a lot of the bass writing on this album. And the next day when Michael would come in, Ed would teach Michael the bass tracks. The question is whose tracks are on the album? When you have Ed and Don there late at night, you don't know if they're putting Ed's bass tracks on the album or if they're putting Michael's bass tracks on the album. And of course, Ed's been quoted in 81 and 82 complaining about Michael Anthony's contribution to the band. Of course, there was kind of that three-way riff with the band. Of course, Ed and Al were always glued to the hip and in stride with each other. But I think Ed had some animosity, or he didn't feel like Michael was pulling his weight. So he probably put some of his own bass tracks on the album, and we probably don't know. And Michael may not know. Probably Don and Ed are the only ones that really know who played some of the bass tracks on that record. The other cool thing is this is when Ed first adopted the wet, dry, wet sound. He picked that up from Steve Lukather. Steve Lukather showed Ed the wet, dry, wet mix. Somehow they crossed paths. I'm not sure exactly where or when. I'll have to ask my brother because he's a huge Steve Lukather fan. But Ed actually adopted that wet, dry, wet mix with the Roll DC for us. And when Ed brought that to Ted Templeton's attention, Ted didn't like it. Ted liked the plug straight in the Marshall, lots of reverb, live on stage sound. And Ed wanted to go to that little bit more processed stereo sound. And that too contributes to why him and Don would do stuff after hours, because I think Ed wanted to put the sound on tape that he was hearing in his head or what he came up with in his mind. So that was kind of where some of the start happened with starting his own studio, like you talked about, Brad. Let's see. One last thing. If we could talk a little bit about the album cover. If you want to isolate me, Andrew, I have a theory about this painting and the pictures that Alex picked. Originally, they were going to do this gentleman right here was going to be the album cover, and then they decided to take like little blocks out of the whole painting. And here's my theory, and I don't know, Andrew or Brad, tell me if you've ever thought about this. Okay, you ready for this? Mean Streets. Push comes to shove. 1 foot out the door. Unchained. Unchained right there. Dirty Movies. Hear About It Later. And what am I missing here? Push comes to shove, 1 foot out the door, Unchained, Hear About It Later, and Dirty Movies. So maybe I'm crazy, but I think some of these pictures are actually tied to some of the songs on the album. Have you guys ever heard that?
Yeah, I did read that actually. Yeah, I read that. Yeah, I actually read that they managed to pick out, everything to fit with the songs, like 1 foot out the door. That was the first one that when I looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I did hear that.
I'd never heard that before. Never heard that before. Never heard. And who said that you can't jump on this show and learn something? Holy moly!
I learn something every day. The Reverend comes in with all these facts that just wipes everyone clean. He's got
Fruitcake Tony even agrees with you. So he's a Van Halen nut. So yeah. I'm going to go and consider everything that you've just said after this show. I've never heard of that, and it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Yeah, and still to this day, apparently that painting is sitting in some art gallery in Europe. But originally, it actually hung in the hallways of the sane asylum that this William Kurlick lived in when he painted it. And I think he passed away in 1977. And rumor has it that Van Halen didn't have the authority to use this painting in their album cover. But I don't know. I don't see something like that happening or them getting away with it. But we'd have to ask Noel Monk when we get him on the show.
Oh yeah, come on, guys.
And then lastly, yeah, exactly. Last thing, Noel Monk did payola, which is where you pay radio stations to play songs off the album. He paid $200,000, and it was $5,000 per large city in the big markets to play some of the Van Halen songs. And in the Running with the Devil book that you're going to read, Brad, he says that some of that money they use drugs to bribe the DJs to play the Van Halen songs off this album. And he did that like a couple months into the album being released because they weren't pacing to be platinum when the first 3 albums went platinum immediately. And they wanted to keep their streak alive, so they paid the way.
Oh, no.
What do you guys think about what Ted Templeton in his book says? He discounts the fact that Don and Eddie actually recorded and put anything on those tracks when they were busy producing Fair Warning. It's interesting. It's interesting to consider that, because for years we were told that they did, and then all of a sudden Ted says, no, there's probably didn't happen.
Yeah, I just listened to the audio of Ted Templeton's book today about him talking about he knew that they were in the studio at night. There wasn't any sneaking around recording stuff. He knew about it. He said, I think that artists sometimes can't express their creative personality if I'm around, and he wanted to let them be loose and do their thing without someone breathing down their neck. And he felt like at that point that Eddie needed that freedom. So okay, it's like the media is trying to cause the riff or tension,
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, because I think we have to be careful of some of these urban myths or some of these legends that we hear, and if we can offer some kind of alternative commentary or opinion on that, well, that's fine. What do you guys think about this? And I'm glad that you guys mentioned Eddie before and his relationship turning a little bit with Michealanthony. What do you guys think about the theory that David Lee Roth was on Eddie's back all the time, and so the only way that Eddie could react, he couldn't react back to David Lee Roth, so the only way that he could react was, and it wasn't going to be with Alex, was to be with Michael. Poor Michael was the recipient of, some negativity. You guys got an opinion on that?
Go ahead, Brad.
It's an interesting one to bring up, Andrew. I mean, only Michealanthony probably be able to answer that correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's it's possibility, I guess. Obviously, tensions were getting at this point in time a little bit frayed with David Lee Roth and Ed. So possibly, I mean, it is a possibility, definitely. He's obviously not going to take it out on his brother. So
no.
Yeah, my opinion is, Ed and David were the two powerhouse. They were the silos of the band. And Michealanthony, I've never met him. I know Johnny Beans met him a couple of times, and Caleb Nerd Halen's met him. But I heard he is like the salt of the earth. He goes with the flow. He doesn't want any problems. And honestly, he probably felt lucky enough to be in a situation that he didn't want to cross anyone's path or go to the bathroom in anyone's Cheerios. So he probably just stayed to himself and did what he was asked and didn't go against the grain, which I don't blame him, Eddie and they were pretty dynamic personalities, whether it be on stage or what they produce on a record, to where they can back up whatever they want because the product proves itself. So I think Michael probably just stood back and just said, I'm not even going to go there. He's playing neutral. He's Switzerland or he's Canada. He's not going to fight anyone. He's just going to go sit back and say, yeah.
Well, when I had the, when I was, blessed enough to be able to sort of briefly meet the band on the Van Halen 3 tour, Michealanthony was really sweet and nice. I mean, that's just from a 10-minute meet, like, hi, how you going, Bob? But he was very accommodating and very nice. So his personality type obviously is very much like that neutral person. He seemed that way when I met him. So
I just thought it would be a question that I'd love to ask you guys and obviously people in the chat, because it's something that's coming up. I'm reading. I've read it a couple of times, and it's always good to have a couple of theories. We're Van Halen nuts, we're Van Halen fans, and it's always good to talk about these things. Just before you go in and rank the first song, brother, thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you to Kurt for the add-on, because there's a couple of things there that I picked up on that I had never heard before. So fantastic. But what do you guys think about the news where Sammy said that he would drop anything if there was ever going to be a Van Halen tribute concert? Nice to hear. Pleasing to hear.
Of course, I mean he loved him, so I think it's a. I mean, in the way the world is at the moment, it's a nice thing to hear that people would drop anything for someone else anyway at the best of times. But obviously, he just wants to pay tribute to his brother, So
wouldn't that be that'll be an awesome gig.
Yeah, if it's a live pay-per-view, I would pay to watch it live. I would definitely buy the DVD or whatever package they're going to sell. Eddie just came out with a new book. I don't know if you guys saw. It's coming out in June. Stinking thing cost me $124, but there's another book coming out. I'll shoot you guys a link. But yeah, there's another big photo.
I didn't know that.
So that just came out yesterday.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's wonderful.
So of course I would spend my money.
I'd pay I'd pay $29 to watch that. You know, they charge here, you know, $29 or $39 to watch a boxing match or something, or a, you know, UFC match.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yes, I've seen that advertised. Yep.
Yeah.
Is Martin Popoff? Is it Martin Popoff?
No, it's Ross Halfin.
Yeah, Ross Halfin, who took that amazing photo with the light behind Ed on stage with the black and white Frankie, I think it is. Yeah. And that photo. Yep.
Oh, send me that link, bro. Please.
You know I will. I send you everything.
Thank you, brother.
Yes. Definitely
If I sell enough gloves,
Hey, Johnny.
goggles, and masks, I'll buy you the book.
Okay, all right, okay. We've got Johnny Bean watching while he's having dinner. Thank you, Johnny. It's always a pleasure for you to get people to raid us. Thank you. Appreciate it. We never take that lightly, and it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Johnny. Make sure you chew your fruit 25 times before you swallow it. It's good for your digestive system.
And I don't know if you heard, Johnny, we're getting an air raid siren. So every time we get a Johnny Bean air raid, we're going to initiate that siren. Well, Andrew's just going to do it with his voice.
Andrew sounds like a 12-year-old boy just on the cusp of puberty.
Oh my gosh! Freak out! Oh my god!
Yes.
All right. First song, brother. First song.
Mean Streets. Well, I'm going to quote Dweezil Zappa here because it sort of wraps up my opinion of this song too. And when I heard him say this, I was just like, man, that's just like the best way to put it. To quote Dweezil, he said, "The sound of the guitar and the G chord he plays on Mean Street is the greatest G chord ever played in the history of rock. And he'll fight anyone who wants to disagree with that." And well, Dweezil, I agree 100%, Dweezil. I agree. So you don't have to fight me, all right? So it's, but I think it's one of the greatest G chords that's ever been played and ever been recorded. I believe it was a demo. I think it was a Voodoo Queen. I couldn't confirm that, but I ran out of time.
I'll be playing it when you're done.
All right, well, then Kurt, the Reverend Kurt, I thought I'd leave that for the Reverend to do the anyway. So that's his department. He does all the little plays and the demo stuff. So the intro is one of the most unique guitar playing things I've ever heard. And at the time, like obviously, the first time I heard it, I never saw footage of it. So I was like, how? Obviously, I thought something to do with tapping or whatever. I mean, just it's important. That would be impossible to work out without watching someone play it, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm not that good of a guitarist that could manage to do that. So it was like alien-like for me. When the song kicks in, obviously the bass and drums kick in. It's solid. It's got swing and swagger that, it's just reminiscent of like early Van Halen from the first few records. It's phenomenal. The breakdown, very dark and brooding. The vocals are really cool. Ed's solos are timeless. I love his feel in the solos, even the little reiki bit he does. I think like those little, I don't know, I can't really describe it properly, but and the section just before the solo with the phase on is cool. Do yourself a favor and go and listen to the isolated guitar track. There's a couple of them on YouTube. And you'll hear when it goes to that G chord, you'll hear that wet, dry, wet sort of signal where there's a tiny bit of chorus there and everything. You'll hear all that. For me, hands down the best song of the David Lee Roth era for me, and I gave it 20 out of 10, like 10 out of 10. It's for me, that's, yeah. And I'll fight anyone who wants to debate that.
I'm not going toe to toe with you.
So, Kurt.
Wow. Okay. So you're right. Voodoo Queen, Club Days song, and we'll play just a smidget of it so we don't get dinged for whatever they want to call it. So here, bear with me here. So you can obviously hear the Mean Streets part of Voodoo Queen. So also during the, not the Club Days, but the Gene Simmons demo, they had a song called She's the Woman, which is on the Different Kind of Truth album, but they had a different version back in the Club Days, which one riff is part of Mean Streets, which we'll play here. What do you think? Did you guys hear that okay?
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. I actually had a good listen to them this morning after I did all my notes.
That last part of the She's the Woman riff is probably my favorite riff on the whole album. Every time I hear that part, like if I'm driving in the car, I immediately take my hands off the steering wheel and just like go into, another time zone. For me, it's awesome. Brad, I can't do 20 out of 10 because my mathematical brain just doesn't work that way, but I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I told you earlier that, I had 2 songs on this that are 10 out of 10. Mean Street is one of them. Let's see. The Flanger. I love how Eddie brought that back on this album. He used it quite a bit on the first album. So really cool hearing the way he uses the flanger. It's always goosebump moment for me hearing the riffs on Mean Street. And, he adopted the beginning of that song into a solo through, I hadn't seen any live stuff before Live Without a Net, but he used that in Live Without a Net. He used that on the Monsters of Rock tour, Live Right Here, Right Now, Balance. Like he's integrated that Mean Street beginning riff into pretty much every solo from here into existence that he's done live. So I think that piece probably means a lot to Eddie. And, it's kind of a slap bass type of method that he's using. And of course, everyone wondering what the hell he was doing on the fretboard when he was getting that down. And what a bold way to start the album out. If it was me, I don't know if I would have started out with Mean Streets, but it was kind of their unorthodox way of saying, hey, we're here and we're Van Halen, but 10 out of 10, never skip. And great. It's a cult classic, deep cut for all Van Halen fans, for sure.
Okay, guys, I mentioned it the last time we did a show, and I'm sorry to bring it up again, but you know, you're 14, 15 years old and you've been listening to Diverdown for 3 months, and then you listen to this album and you hear this song, and it's just remarkable, the difference. You kind of walk away thinking, shivers, is this the same band? I'll never forget listening to Mean Streets the first time I heard it. It was, again, it's one of those moments like listening to Eruption. I suppose you kind of can remember that time. And, you know, to use what Kurt said, you know, you're driving along and you take...
We lost him.
I thought I actually got lost there.
Yeah,
Frozen.
So
Frozen
we'll fill in. We'll fill in.
We'll kill a bit of time till the boss man comes back. I call him boss man now because he's the one who calls all the shots, and we just fall in line, Kurt, don't we?
Yeah. So let's go to the chat, Brad. What are your guys' thoughts? Oh, there he is. We lost you, Andrew. You went into a time warp. You were in your car listening to this song, and you took your hands off the wheel, and then all of a sudden you froze. Like it was like you were in another time zone.
Where is he? Is he in the chat? Is he?
Oh, he's completely gone now.
He's gone. He'll come back.
All right. So those of you guys in the chat, what do you guys think of this being the first song on the album?
I mean, for me, I thought it was a really bold move as well to put this as a first track, but it's like, how can you not put something like that at the start of an album? Because to me, it's a really strong opening track, despite the intro part where it fades in and he's doing the tapping on the guitar, the hammering and stuff, and the harmonic taps. When the song actually kicks in, it's just like a powerhouse. It's like this brick wall just driving towards you, it's relentless. Alex really shines on this song too. Like, you know, we're talking about Ed quite a bit, but in my opinion, Alex really shines on the whole record, but this song in particular, he's just holding it down. You know, the bass track and the drums are just solid as a rock. So what do you guys think in the chat of my ranking? 10, 20 out of 10, like 10 out of 10? Where do you guys put this song? Obviously, I think I just read somewhere Dwayne Alexander gave it 9. Or is that, or am I looking at something? I'm just trying to look into the chat.
Yeah, KXM Rock says he took his hands off the wheel with Tesla. Oh, he has a Tesla, so he can take his hands off the wheel. There you go.
Yeah, if I take the hands off the wheel, mate, it doesn't end well. So I have to keep my hands on the wheel, you know.
Okay. Well, let's move on until Andrew jumps in. How about Dirty Movies, Brad? You want to start off with that?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Dirty Movies. Love the intro, drums and the swirl of guitars. I call them dolphin-like noises.
Yeah.
The guitar tone is killer on this song. I mean, the whole record's got great guitar tone, but I just love it. Great overdub guitars on this song. The feel on the bass and drums is swinging and very classic sounding. Great catchy harmonies. I love the little section before the breakdown, and obviously the bit, remember when the girl was prom queen, take it off. Very cool. Obviously, I was unaware of this until I watched the Dweezil Zappa thing just the other night, but this is the first Drop D song on a record, apparently. So I don't know if anyone can prove me wrong there, but yeah, I believe this is the first song on record that's in Drop D. The lights, camera, action bit, and the riff behind that is just killer. I mean, for me, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I would have given it 10, but I wanted to put it in perspective of obviously Mean Streets, where that sits, and for the other tracks later. So, Reverend, have you got anything you could enlighten us with your knowledge of this song? I do.
First song, second song that he used to slide on.
Yeah.
Right?
I was going to
he used the song slide on Women and Children First. Could This Be Magic, right? I believe so. He actually used this Gibson SG right here, TV Junior. And I'm going to read a quick article on this off this magazine, but you guys take a look. What do you see different about that guitar, Brad?
Because it can't sort of isolate in. It's got the soap bar pickup, not a humbucker.
You see the horn on the. You see the lower horn?
Oh yes, is that chopped? Is it? Is it gone?
It's chopped. So, Dirty Movies and Sunset Sound. When I asked engineer Don Landy to get me a hacksaw, he asked me what I was going to do. I told him to not worry about it. I hacked off the horn on the treble side of the SG because I couldn't hit the high notes with the slide. They looked at me and they looked at me like I fell out of a tree, but it was necessary. I used to play the SG in the band's club days, and it was a B to keep in tune. The neck is heavier than the body, and I didn't play it for very long because it was uncomfortable to play. It's a guitar to play and to support the neck. And, of course, Eddie always talked about how a guitar was a tool, and it wasn't like a piece of art or something to save. So there you go. Cut off the lower horn because he needed to get to the high part on using the slide. So I thought that was pretty cool. This was the first song that they used quotations on in the description of the song. So it's movies. The next time they did that was 5150 with Sammyhagar, which is kind of a cool little fact. The solo on this song, I love. That really bumps it up for me as far as why I like it. And of course, again, he integrates the flanger. And it's more of a jam-along song to me than, I guess a melodic song. And maybe it's just because at my age, just the stereotypical like reason of the song and what it's about. And that same year, the Jay Giles band came out with the song Centerfold, which of course is about someone in high school where they know someone that was in a dirty magazine. And that was actually released like 3 months after they released Fair Warning. So they always thought that Jay Giles band ripped off Centerfold from Dirty Movies. But it's a 7 out of 10 for me. And great song for sure. Yeah.
Have we got anyone in the chat giving us their ratings or whatever? I think Alan Garber said yes, it's a P90. So cool. Johnny Bean horn sawn off. So he picked it. What do we got? I'm just going back. Yes. Fruitcake Tony, dig the bass. Yeah, it's awesome. Definitely. Yeah, I actually think the rhythm section on this, whether it's Ed or Mikey, but the drums and the bass on this entire record are solid. They're faultless. The feels are fantastic. Like the feel on this song from the drums, there's so much depth and texture to his playing and tone. So, but what else have we got here?
Yeah, I think Alex gets a lot of credit for 1984 and for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, but man, he really has got it together on this album as well. I think he's forgotten a lot in some of those little albums. And so we got Andrew coming in. But the rhythm section, very solid. Very definitely.
I think Andrew's trying to get back in. I hope you're okay, brother. I hope you're not falling off a rock or.
Earth to Andrew.
Oh, bugger.
All right. Let's go
for me,
center swing.
honestly, that Dirty Movies is a cool second track too. Like it's a great second song in my opinion. it's a hard song to follow up Mean Streets, you know, and then you come out with Dirty Movies. It just fits right on there. Johnny Bean said he's on Mars. Yeah, it sounds like he's from another planet. Half the time, Andrew sounds like he's on another planet, but more so now while he's not with us.
Yeah, exactly.
He's on a Mars discovery. So what do we do? Sing a swing. That's what we're up to, isn't it? Sing a swing, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so up-tempo feel is great. I love the quirky scratch bit on the guitar. Great riff. Solo's insane. Crazy, like berserk feel to it. It's a great example of multi-layered vocals on this song as well, which Van Halen were amazing at doing. Bass and drums, like vocals, guitar, the whole song, love it. I cranked this song the other day in the car, and I must have started speeding. I'm sure of it. I was probably 80 k's. I was probably doing 20 k's, doing 20, or over the speed limit. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I hand it over to you, Kurt. You've probably got some more detail.
Center swing. So the opening riff before Roth goes in and does his rant. I call them string scrapes, I guess, is what I would call it. It's just, those are goosebump moments for me as well. Yeah. I just love it seems like Eddie always comes out with a hat trick every album. And in this album, it seems like every song he came out with something that either no one had heard before or something that was new and he brings to the table. And of course, here we are 3 songs into it, and he's bringing another something that no one's heard or people are wondering what he's doing. This is the first time the band actually dropped the F-bomb in their lyrics, which I'm not sure back then in 81 if that was controversial or not. But, to me, I kind of just breezed past it. And it really was no sweat off my back. But this song is a toe tapper to me, which, Brad, you were talking about being in the car and kind of driving. It's got that groove, and I love the rhythm. And it's one of those ones, like a head bobber, I kind of call it.
Yep.
The solo, Ed is just going nuts with the vibrato bar, doing all those bends and things with the Floyd Rose, which and the hammer-ons, just amazing rhythm from Alex and Ed. And I give it a 7 out of 10.
What was it?
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Yeah, so we're not far off each other. I'm an 8. So yeah. One thing to note is I think we all love Ed for the same reason, that he was a quirky player, and more so than trying to perfect everything. He actually played with feel and everything, but the quirkiness, the quirky things he always put in the songs to push it, like you mentioned, Kurt, like that one more thing, just like, oh, here's something that hasn't been done before, or here's something that we haven't done before, like he was always pushing that. And it was very cool. I'm just having a look at some of these comments now.
Fruitcake Tony gives it an 8.5.
Yep.
Johnny Bean thought it was awesome. The F-bomb, he says.
Yeah. So where are we?
Surprisingly, back then, they really didn't use much profanity in any of their songs. And, they were kind of known as the not necessarily rough, gruff band, but they were someone you would take home to mom for Sunday, breakfast. But they never really told the line as far as their lyrics go. They always kept it professional, and I don't know where that stems from, if it stemmed from Ed and Al. But that's kind of one of the things I respect about Van Halen is they always told the line when it came to, the way they acted and some of the pictures and stuff they did, but they never really did anything disrespectful on record that was broadcasted over the air, which
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I'm just looking at some of the comments. Some of them are funny. Alan Garber said Andrew's in Middle Earth now in New Zealand. he's
Yeah, he is. He's with the goblins.
Yeah, he's one ring to rule them all. He's trying to find the one ring. Jimmy Bean said, yeah, thought it was an F-bomb. Where are we? Yeah, Fruitcake Tony. I think I saw something from Fruitcake Tony before. Sinner Swing was the second song in the set most nights. So there you go. They threw that one. It's a great song. Great song. Great
so
song.
Fruitcake Tony, you saw this this show live. What city did you see him in? And I think Susan saw him as well. I don't know, Lenny Lou, if you saw him in 81 or not. Pretty famous tour. It seems like that's always the one everyone's talking about is the Fair Warning tour.
Yeah. Fair Warning tour, and I've watched what footage I can find on the Fair Warning tour on YouTube, obviously, and it's a phenomenal playing in that record. They were really on fire, really, around that time. And this was Susan, US Fest 83. Andrew, are you with us?
Yeah, he said he's got no internet connection.
Right,
so
okay.
We'll carry on. Okay, Susan saw the US Festival.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, Susan, I saw the Sam and Dave tour as well in 02. I'll be interested. Who did you like better, Sam or Dave? And then who opened and who closed?
Yeah.
And Brad, your first concert was 98, you said?
My first, you're talking
your Van Halen concert?
The which, sorry?
Brad, your first Van Halen concert, you said, was the 98 tour?
The Van Halen 3, yeah. Obviously, in Australia, the time they really came. They came later, but I didn't see them on that one. That was with Wolf on bass when they came later. But,
so that was the one that was nationally televised, right?
Yep. And that wasn't the whole show they televised either. That was just like part of it. But I was blown away when they played Mean Streets. I was like, I just couldn't believe it. I was just like so stoked to actually hear that song live. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to get to that part, Unchained. When they did Unchained, everyone in the audience was flipping out because it had been 15 years since they played that song. Something like that. No, not 15 years. I had it written down here somewhere. 14 years.
You watch the early footage of them playing Unchained, and then it's just such a powerful intro, the song and the way it comes in, which we're obviously going to get to Unchained. I don't want to spoil it for everyone, but yeah. Should we go on, Kurt? What do you reckon? Just keep going.
Let's keep going. If his internet's down, it may be a while before he gets back in.
We need you guys in the chat to help us now because we've lost the boss man. So we need you guys to give us your rankings as well. All right. So let's go for it. So we're going to hit where are we up to? I lost my.
Hear about it later.
Hear about it later. Okay. I love this song. The flanger with the clean flange sort of intro vibes. I love the riff. The little intro lead part, the interlude into the first verse. The verses are really melodic and showcase some great harmonies as well. The drums and bass are fantastic. Personally, I think this is the catchiest chorus on the album so far, from my opinion. It's just a really catchy chorus. I love the cowbell section. When the bass and guitar come in, it's amazing. The solo is just amazing. There's some new techniques in there from Ed that we hadn't heard at that point. Obviously Alan Holdsworth was, he's working with him at the time and there was a bit of influence there, and I think that shines through on this song in the solo. And I just want to mention Ed's rhythm playing on this album is, it's phenomenal. And in this song, it's fantastic. Great ending to the song as well. I gave this a 10 out of 10. The more I listened to this record through the last 2 weeks, this song just became one of my favorites on the record. So I love it.
Stuck out to you, huh?
Yeah, I love it, man. It's just that catchy. It's such a catchy chorus. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kurt?
Well, me as well. The intro to this song, amazing. Apparently it was written on piano prior to putting it on guitar. And believe it or not, since we did Diverdown a couple weeks ago, the song Secrets came with this song when we talked about how Secrets came from a song from Fairwarning that didn't make the album. Apparently these two songs, Secrets and Hear About It Later, were either put together on the same day, or Ed kind of had the same thought when he was putting this song together. So I actually played both of them back to back, and they're actually pretty similar, believe it or not. It's crazy. So those of you guys in the chat, check it out tomorrow. Listen to Hear About It Later, and then throw on Secrets, and believe it or not, they're pretty similar. So that's kind of cool. I love the clean intro. I have on here that it's a